All right. Everyone, I have Angie here. Angie, say hi.
Hi.
Angie has so graciously said that she would be willing to be coached on this. And I think I'm going to wear my glasses because I think they kind of look similar to you. And maybe you feel like you're looking in the mirror. That's funny. Obviously, you're not looking in the mirror. Okay. So we're going to talk leadership today. So Angie, can you just catch our audience up to speed on what are some of the challenges that you hope to gain clarity on today?
Yeah, so I'm looking for some help with just overall leadership. I'm looking for help with developing my team into more of a leadership role. I'm looking on ways that I can best empower them. I've struggled in the past being able to take my businesses to the next level because I feel like I for some reason just get stuck in that. I don't know if it's training or if it's leadership or empowering, or I'm not for sure what to call it, but I just kind of get stuck at a certain spot. And I really, I feel a huge sense of responsibility to people that come onto my team. I feel a huge sense of responsibility to help them be successful in whatever it is they need. And I want to make sure that I'm able to do that. And sometimes I feel challenged in that area. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So what I'm getting at, so recruiting, bringing people onto your team is not an issue. It's like once they get there, how do you help them reach their goals?
Yes.
Okay.
Identifying what their goals are, and then whether, from a product perspective, I have no problem.
Yep.
I mean, I have no problem getting people goals and their goals in that area. It's from the business perspective, is helping them get to their business goals.
Okay. Awesome. So I have a few models that I just want you to walk through because some of this is going to be categorizing people appropriately. I think one of the biggest challenges that leaders have is they're not, we call it calibrated with their builders, but in essence, it's being on the same page. And a lot of this comes from coaching structure. So before I just make assumptions about what your coaching structure is or isn't, would you mind letting me in on, like, when you have people, do you meet with them on what cadence? Is it just call me when you need me? Like, what does that look like? What are you currently doing?
Yeah. So when I bring them on, we do talk about their goals. I give them some ideas. I'm pretty hands off. I don't want to say the word bugged, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like in their face all the time. I think I'm a self-starter, so I kind of do things on my own, and maybe my perception is that other people will be that way as well. But I understand that that's not how everybody operates. Like, everybody's different. So I would say that I don't reach out to them as much unless they're reaching out to me for help. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. That could be the first problem.
Yeah. Well, we can fix this. So the good news is we have a lot of places we can make adjustments. So the first encouragement that I want to give you is that you don't have to feel like you're stuck on a hamster wheel. Right?
Okay.
Like, okay, what do I even do? There's solutions for your problem. So I think first it's looking at what is the job in network marketing. So here's my take. You have one job, which is sales, right? Getting products to customers. One job is helping people with the sales, getting products to customers. And there's this third category that's developing leaders. And so it's really 3 different job descriptions. And so when you upgrade your account to ambassador, congratulations, Angie, you became a sales manager. Right? So we are all okay. Okay, we're in sales. Fine. I'm over that. I'm not cheering. I'm in sales because I'm doing this as a serious business. Well, if you're in sales, that means your people are in sales. And so if your people are in sales and you get paid based on their production, your profession is sales manager of independent contractors. The good news is, Angie, that is a profession, which means there are structures already set up.
Okay.
So how does that feel so far, just reframing that?
No, that feels that feels better because you know how in network marketing, it's always kind of like, it's a volunteer army. And I guess I always had that word volunteer in my head, and that made me not want to manage them. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I
so
don't
that
think
I
it's a
really like
volunteer
that.
army.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is you're coaching independent business owners, no different than the way I am coaching you right now.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay.
So if we're a sales manager of independent contractors, then the next thing we have to figure out is, what's my job title, kind of, right? Based on that, then what is my role? So here's how I would explain your role, Angie. I would say number one is to encourage.
Okay.
Number two is to support skill development. And number three is to bring clarity. And so in my job as a coach for network marketers, that's my role, right? And that's your role. Because if people feel encouraged and they know how to do the thing they're supposed to do, and they know what to do, and they have clarity, then they're going to do better.
Okay.
How does that feel?
That feels good.
Okay.
So basically encourage them, teach them how to do what and what to do.
Yeah. And I would say support skill development as opposed to being responsible for their skill development, because I think it goes back and forth on whether or not leaders choose to be trainers, right? I don't think you're responsible for their skills. I think you're responsible to support their growth in their skills. So what I mean by that is you could just like, okay, let's go over this again. Let's go over this again. You could go over this again, but it's still valid as a leader to say, here's a resource that you need to go to. Here's what I mean by that. So I have a business coach. Her name is Heather. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. If my husband is listening to this, you know that's true as well. And I talked to her the other day about in the fall wanting to focus on YouTube. Okay. So is it Heather's job to go and learn YouTube so that she can spend extra time teaching me YouTube? Or is it Heather's job to know who's the best coach on YouTube and recommend that I go pick up that course? What do you think?
Option two.
And why?
Well, because otherwise it's not her job to teach you the skills. It's your job to teach you the skills. It's her job to support you.
Yep.
And finding resources. Yeah. That makes sense.
So the example is we'll go through a call and she'll say, here's the format for here's a basic outline on how to do a Facebook Live or whatever. And then I'll go work on that. And then we'll bring it back, right? And I'll say, okay, here's my strategy. Give me some feedback. And so she's supporting my marketing skills, but she's not the sole owner of my marketing skills. And so I think that nuance is important because you mentioned responsibility. I don't know if you've ever taken the StrengthsFinder assessment, but what is it? What's responsibility?
Well, my number one is maximizer.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't remember the other two, but maximizer was the first one. So.
Okay. Well, I have responsibilities number 6, which means what I'll do is I'll actually overstep and try to play God, right? Like your success is based on me, and that's actually a little bit too far. And so that's why I say we want to support skill development.
Okay, got it.
And so when we look at a basic structure, I think what will be really, really helpful is if you just set up this call every 90 days with your people. And this is what we call a calibration call. It's something we cover in way more detail in our Leadership Foundation course. I'll give you the basics. And we have to do it every 90 days because things change. So the first question you'll ask is, what's your profit goal? Not your rank goal, because they don't take rank at the grocery store. They only take money.
Okay.
Okay. What's your profit goal? What's your profit actual? Like after you get your income, pay for whatever expenses are part of your business, what are you actually bringing home? How do you feel about that? They might feel great. They might feel like that's terrible. And this is all relative because they could be making $300 and think it's the best thing in the world. Or they could be making $10,000 and say, I'll never pay off my student loans.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we can't make an assumption of you're at this rank, so you're good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second question. The next question after that will be like, how many contacts do you have? Right? Because you can't make sales unless you have contacts.
So you mean how many contacts have they contacted, or how many do
they currently have that they could reach out to?
Okay.
These are for reading, and I'm not reading. So, how many business builders are you actually coaching?
Okay.
How many hours per week do you have blocked off to work with your business? And then we do what's called a skill assessment. So, right, encouragement, clarity, and skill, but most people, their skills are not like where they need to be, right? So we rate skills in 4 categories. 0 means never done it. 1 means I try it, but I stink, or I'm just learning. 2, and I'll give you back this recording if you want to go back and get better notes, but I'm trying to keep the time. 3 is going to be, or skill level 2 is going to be like, I can do this, I can reach my goals, and 3 is a rock star. And so we go through the basic skills of things like time management, setting up appointments, closing, retention, recruiting and launching, and referral generation. We actually say, okay, let's look at the skill set, because what we have to see is it a will or is it a skill?
What do you mean by, is it a will?
Well, will is, do I want it bad enough? Am I motivated?
Okay.
Right? Skill is, I actually don't know the things. Right? So we'll use you as an example. Right? You're like, I have the will to go all the way, but my coaching skill is actually a 0. Never done it. Right? Because you've been like, let me know if you need anything. Like, that isn't a structured coaching call. Right? So you're at 0. And by identifying, okay, Angie, you're skill level 0, never done it. If all I did was teach you some basic outlines, you would move to the 2 category and you would be more confident. You'd move into action. You'd be less scared to recruit, right? All of those things would be really, really helpful. And so when we go through and we ask them to assess themselves, like, where are you? And they're like, I'm a 1 on time management. I'm a 1 at this. I'm a 1 at this. I'm a Z. I've never even asked for a referral. Well, it explains maybe why they're not reaching their profit goal in a more analytical way, as opposed to like this emotional, what do you need?
Right.
Because what I think is that if people knew what they needed, they would ask, but most people don't know what they don't know. Because a lot of leaders are like, all you have to do is go and talk to people and then people will buy. Well, it's not exactly that, because when you really dig in deep with successful leaders, there's a specific cadence that they all use, but it's unconscious to them. So they think they're doing everything the way they're supposed to do it, but they're actually not. And so that decreases their confidence, which decreases their action. Right? Because if you're not confident that you know how to do something, you don't want to look foolish, you're not going to do the thing. And so what I like to do is I like to solve for skill first, because skill increases confidence, which increases action. Now, if we increase our skill and they're still not in action, then we might have a clarity issue, like overwhelm.
Okay.
Tell me what's going through your mind.
So when you said if you increase their skill, it increases their action, but there's no results still. What did you say? That you think there's a clarity issue?
Well, so if you increase their skill, will increase confidence, right? The confidence will increase the action. And because the action is done with skill, you'll get a result. If you help them with their skill or point them to skill, or right, we move the skill scale from I've never done it to I can get results, and they're not moving into action, it's probably a clarity, like they're overwhelmed. right? They're overwhelmed with their home life. They're overwhelmed with all the Facebook ads that are coming through. They're overwhelmed with all the trainings your upline is doing and this and that. And so there's like, I don't even.
Right. Yeah. Because that can definitely, it can feel like that for me sometimes. Right. So how do you address that? How do you?
Yeah. So we address that by making sure they have clear appointment goals.
Okay.
Right. So there's a few different kinds of appointments. There's new appointments, there's retention appointments, there's coaching appointments, and there's recruiting appointments. And all business flows from those 4 types of appointments. And so if it doesn't contribute to an appointment, then it doesn't need to happen.
Well, that's good. That makes sense.
Okay. And so you get caught in shiny object syndrome. But you have to ask yourself, well, am I going to take the shiny object and turn it into an appointment? No, then I don't need to do that. That might be working for someone else. Because there's so many benefits from all the information out there. There's also drawbacks. So what you see is you see people that are learning and they have access, but they also have major overwhelm. And so you have this conversation with them and you get really, really calibrated on where they want to go, why it's important to them, and what skills maybe we need to focus on. And then after that, you can offer them, depending on how much they're working. So I wouldn't take someone who's working 3 hours a week and coach them. But if they're working 15 hours a week and, right, they want to build a team, then I would at that point say, okay, if we met, and I'm just throwing kind of examples out, but if we met every other week and we wrote out outlines together on this particular thing and improved the skill, would that be helpful to you? And how do you think that people would respond?
I think that would definitely, help. It would, from my side of it, it gives me some structure on what to talk to them about and how to coach them better and also stay in their business rather than just having them come to me. Because a lot of times by the time they come to me, they're frustrated.
Yeah, they're done.
I mean, yeah, and I don't want them to get to that point, but that's on me. So you suggest doing the calibration calls
every 90 days. Every 90 days, because they flow back and forth. So sometimes people will go, my income goal is $300 or $400. So you can't coach them to their $4,000 ranks, right? But then they might go to convention, and then the next 90-day cycle, you meet with them. So let's say 7/1 would be, right, so it's mid-June, the time of this recording. I don't think it's going to go live till the end of June. So 7/1 is where I would recommend, right? 1/1, 4/1, 7/1, 10/1. 7/1, I meet with them and they say $500. Well, what's in September? Convention. Yeah. They go to convention, you meet with them 10/1, and you ask them, and now all of a sudden their income goal is $5,000, right? Which requires a different skill set than the 300. Because now we have to say, well, shoot, you can make $300 off your friends and family, but if you're going to make $5,000, we need to start working on referral generation and customers hosting socials and vendor booths, right? Like it's a totally different game you're playing in. And then you might have someone who says, I want to make $5,000. You check in with them in October and they're like, gosh, you know what? My kid is in school and they're really struggling. And I'm going to have to spend a ton of time tutoring them and it's going to really decrease my stuff. And so I don't think my income goal is 5,000 anymore. I think it's 1,000. And we don't even know these shifts have happened as leaders because we just are like, well, call me if you need it. Well, they don't need anything from you if they change their income goal from 5,000 to 1,000.
Right.
And so creating that structure creates clarity for you to be able to serve them. And then just making sure you're on rinse and repeat with, okay, what's our appointment goal? And what's our appointment goal? And what's our appointment goal? And I have clients that make 6 figures that I coach every other week. And I'm like, and let's go over your appointment goal. They're like, oh, I was super overwhelmed. But wait, it's just I just need to do this. And then we might strategically look at, okay, well, in order to reach your new appointment goal, we need to set up 2 booths this month, or we need to reach out to all the previous people who are not active ambassadors and see if they'd like to host a social, right? To create that thing. But if you don't know what their income goal is and you don't know what their skill set is, it's really, really hard to craft any sort of plan. So you've been leading or attempting to lead with 2 hands behind your back.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
And the rest of the coaching outlines, you're going to have to sign up for.
Yeah.
But we have, all joking aside, then so that's the calibration call. And then we have the skill development call, the goal setting call, right? We have all the other coaching calls that go in between. If you have a bunch of people that are like super part-time, how to run a group coaching call, right? They all have the objective of I'm encouraging, supporting skill development and providing clarity. Right? And so in a skill development call, we'll practice with them, right? If that's the objective of the call. If it's a goal setting call, we have, okay, here are the most important goals for a business owner in network marketing. But the calibration call tells you, are they a casual share, friends and family person? Or are they actually trying to run a profitable business? Because you work with those people completely differently.
Right.
And most people just assume, okay, they said they want to earn money. I want to earn money, and I'm a self-starter, and I'm building a team, and I'm looking into leadership. So obviously that's everybody. Right. Where that's not even close to the case. There's probably, 4 or 5 different types of network marketers, right? Ranging from casual to serious. And we can't make assumptions on that, because then we start investing time in areas that don't really make sense, or we don't invest time because we don't know their goals, or we don't point them to the right resources, right? We assume every single ambassador wants to recruit a team because they say they want to earn money. That's not at all the case. Maybe half of them do, if that, right? The other half of them are like, I just want to sell a few products to my mom and my grandma, my so-and-so, and you said I can make money, cool. And that's a very different leadership approach than for people that are like you, who want to be great leaders, and build an empire. So what are you thinking?
No, I think I'm like in my head already making lists of who I need to set up these calls with. I mean, you would do these calls with people that basically anybody that has said they wanted to, which you don't do it with all your ambassadors, right?
People who want to earn money. Yeah. I would start with the ones, with your comp plan, I feel like anyone enrolled to you. So generation 1, right? Start there.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Because those guys are your responsibility under your comp plan.
Yeah. No, I've never had it mapped out like that for me before. So that just makes sense. Yeah, it just makes sense.
It's sales management. But if you don't know it's sales management, Angie, you don't know to sales manage, right? It's just this loosey leadership. Be a great leader, cast vision, hold people accountable. Like, what are those words even?
Right.
But
that's exactly where
But this is how you
felt. Yeah, because there's a huge execution piece that I'm not doing, right? So I need to do that.
Yay. So would you mind sharing with our audience, what are your takeaways for our little time here together?
Yeah, so I would say my 3, I'm just off the top of my head, my 3 main things is, first of all, that leadership can be taught. Okay, so I think I was always under the impression like you're either a leader or you're not, but you definitely, with the good coaching, you can become a good leader with a good outline, I guess, for lack of a better word, coaching. Yeah. I love how you said being a sales manager. I never thought of it like that. I've never thought of it like that. And that makes a lot of sense to me. I've done that like in previous jobs, like regular jobs, so I can do that. It just never occurred to me that that's really kind of what we're doing here. I never put it in that perspective. And then just having like the calibration call, having that structure. I'm not a super structured person, so I need that structure. Setting up that call every 90 days with, people that are interested in building a business or earning income, and just finding out where people are at. That way that just takes, that helps them, but also, you know, they have told me exactly what they want, so we both are on the same page. So I'm not expecting, like you said, somebody who just wants to share with friends and family. I'm not expecting them to be make 6 figures a year, or expecting them to do the things they would need to do that. I understand that's not where they're at right now, and I can help them in that way that fits
Awesome.
them. Right.
Yay, hooray. So say bye to everyone. We did it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. Stop the recording.